Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. Today in this particular video, we are going to discuss about a recent term that has emerged or come into news is that the wolf warrior diplomacy or wolf warrior strategy that is associated with the China's foreign policy. So we are going to discuss in details what is China's wolf warrior strategy, what is the rationale behind adoption of this strategy, and what are the implications of this strategy and this kind of diplomacy on relations of China with the other states including India. So let us try to understand that why this particular issue is news. So recently the Chinese Communist Party have started or began its 20th National Congress on the Sunday, and the main objective of this 20th National Congress is again to give President Xi Jinping he can become the president for the next 5 years terms. So it is widely accepted the Chinese President Xi Jinping will get an endorsement for third term as president of the Chinese People's Republic of China. And under Xi Jinping's leadership, China basically has witnessed a very unique style of governance, which differs in many ways from that of more recent Chinese leaders, especially if we talk about Deng Xiaoping, who was responsible for basically beginning economic liberalization of the China. So his leadership style is in total contrast with the leadership style of Xi Jinping, who is more and more becoming, we can say, leaning more towards socialism and communism more strongly, and giving away, or we can say, rejecting the idea of capitalism, which was gradually being included as Chinese policy during Deng Xiaoping. So the wolf warrior style of Chinese diplomacy is nothing but a very aggressive kind of diplomacy style that has particularly attracted attentions from the global world. So what is basically wolf warrior strategy? As far as the statement published by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of China is concerned, it has clearly said that as China's position has undergone a change in the world affairs over the year, Xi Jinping has advocated for a more intensive approach toward handling issues both domestically as well as internationally. And this intensive approach, this confrontational approach of China is what is being referred as wolf warrior diplomacy. Now let us try to understand this in more detail. So the main objective of wolf warrior diplomacy, or before that, if we try to understand that what is the inspiration for this wolf warrior diplomacy. So it is believed that inspiration of this kind of strategy has come from the Chinese movie that is called as Wolf Warrior, and later on Wolf Warrior 2 and 3, many sequels were made from this. So this Wolf Warrior movie is basically is embedded with nationalist ideologies, and also in this particular movies the Chinese soldiers or Chinese military basically try to have a confrontation or try to deter the Western aggression against the Chinese Republic. So that is why it is very nationalist movie, and the ideology of wolf warrior diplomacy is basically derived from this movie franchise. The main objective of wolf warrior diplomacy is believed to be extending the ideology of China not only within China but also beyond China. That means we know that India has been known for its soft power for over a long period of time through its Bollywood, through its cuisine, through its dancing patterns, dancing styles, and all these kind of things. That is something being done by China as well. However, the difference is China is more willing to project its hard power rather than relying on soft power to extend its ideology across different part of the world, different countries of the world. And wolf warrior diplomacy is one of the ingredient of this concept or this ideologies, where more aggressive and confrontational style of communication is being witnessed by the spokesperson of Chinese government as well as the Ministry of the Foreign Affairs of China as well. And it is believed by many experts that wolf warrior diplomacy is nothing but it is the dictum or it is a directive given by President Xi Jinping that Chinese officials and diplomats must unsheath swords to defend the dignity of China. And thus, wolf warrior diplomacy is nothing but this is the call to arms of this Xi Jinping's proposal, Xi Jinping's directive. So, what is the need for wolf warrior diplomacy? So, as per the expert, it is believed that there are three reasons why wolf warrior diplomacy has emerged as in the arsenal of China's foreign policy. The first is since Xi Jinping now is in much more strong control, has much more strong hold over the China, he is becoming more and more authoritarian in nature. So, the first is authoritarian tendency of President Xi Jinping. Second is there has been a significant deterioration, especially during the Trump era, between the China and US relationship, and this has continuously progressed since now China and Russia have developed kind of axis that is seen to be against the Western world. The third reason is that coronavirus, which traces its origin from the China, and the pandemic related accusations of China, all these also led to isolation of China, and China becoming more and more vocal to protect its interests, protect its dignity and the international respect. So it is due to these three reasons the wolf warrior diplomacy has emerged. So what basically will foreign diplomacy, as per Chinese foreign minister, deputy foreign minister, he has said that wolf foreign diplomacy is nothing but it is standing up to what they believe is Western interference in Chinese affairs. Western interference in Chinese affairs, basically we can relate to the control of USA, or we can say the issue between US and China regarding the control of Taiwan. Second is regarding the human right violation accuses that has been levied on China against the Uyghurs, the ethnic Muslim minority of the China. So these are some of the areas where it is believed that China believes that Western world is trying to interfere in its internal political affairs. Second, it also aims to safeguard the interest of the country and the people. And third is to formally defend the national interests and dignity of China. So three reasons why wolf warrior diplomacy has emerged, and three objectives with which wolf warrior diplomacy is working. That is something we have to be clear about. The second point, what we can understand, that as per the statement released by deputy spokesperson of the Chinese government, she has said that in the eyes of Chinese people, the wolf warrior diplomacy will be the voice of justice. And she says that we do not have any problem in living with the title of wolf warrior, because by bestowing us the title wolf warrior, what basically the world is saying, that we are fighting for China's sovereignty, security, and its international developmental interests. Also, China is trying to protect its national dignity, honor, and international fairness and justice. And since China is doing all these things, and thus there is no problem with us to live as a title of wolf warrior, as long as we are engaged in all these processes. On the same time, the Chinese deputy foreign minister or vice foreign minister has says that wolf warrior diplomacy is nothing but this is a tit for tat that has been adopted by China against the Western world. So how the wolf warrior diplomacy has been put into practice, we can understand this by a simple example. Very recently, a Chinese spokesperson of the foreign ministry, he has said, basically he has put an image on the Twitter, and the image is considered to be a morph image, or we can say doctored image, where the Australian troops seem to be brutally killing prisoners of war and civilians by shooting or throat slitting in Afghanistan. And while posting this picture, the foreign ministry spokesperson of China says that truth has come to light, but justice is yet to be upheld. Those who committed war crimes remain at large. Afghan lives matter. Australia owes the world an explanation. However, Australian government has categorically denied such kind of allegation. It has said that the image and the video is morphed and doctored, and thus it has asked China to offer a public apology. However, China did not budge. Has However, China did not budge and has not offered any public apology. Rather, it stands on its ground. So the putting into practice as far as the wolf warrior diplomacy is concerned, first of all, we can see that there has been a continuous barrage of messaging on social media by Chinese governments and the spokesperson of Chinese government, where they're trying to basically counter the Western narrative of the Chinese world. Second, any allegation that is levied by the Western world is being encountered very quickly. And also, not only they are encountering the allegations of the Western world, they are also proactively launching attacks against many decisions, against many stands of the Western nations. And this one, the Australian video, Australian image of the killing of prisoners wars is one such example. So that is how the wolf warrior diplomacy is being practiced and put into practice by the Chinese government. Now, what about India? So as far as the C. Raja Mohan, the foreign policy expert is concerned, of India is concerned, he has said that wolf warrior diplomacy is not directed toward any particular nation, but in generally it confronts any criticism head on. It try to confront any kind of criticism that is levied against China in the public sphere. And they basically, Chinese have been lecturing host governments. However, they do not always show up when summoned by the foreign offices. That means basically what it means, that if there is some grievances that a host nation believes to be host nation basically feels, then that time they can call upon the ambassador or call upon the high commissioner or embassy officials to present the explanation. However, whenever they are basically being called upon by the host governments, they are not showing up at the foreign offices. Third, the recent crisis of Doklam Ladakh, the narrative has been flipped against India, and Chinese government and Chinese media both are trying to portray that it was not China that has crossed the demarcated border, but it was the Indian forces that have crossed the border towards China. and as a result of this, to basically as a result of this or as a payback, Indian Chinese forces have attacked the Indian forces. So that is how China is trying to flip the narrative. China is trying to basically put up and uphold its image as far as the international global order is concerned. So what about the future ahead as far as the diplomacy style is concerned? So basically the Gulf border diplomacy has faced several challenges, especially a lot of countries have challenged it, have alleged that China is trying to basically portray a false narrative of the actual situation on the ground. And that is why it may damage China's perception among allies if China keep on engaging in this kind of diplomacy. So that is why when President Xi Jinping is, when he becomes or take the helm again, once again of China, it is believed that he will try or attempt to strike a balance between a wolf warrior diplomacy and between a conventional style of diplomacy. So, in conclusion, what we can say is a statement that President of China has issued, that it is necessary to make friends, unite and win over the majority, and constantly expand the circle of friends when it comes to international public opinion. And that is why he has asked China's official media and diplomats to present the image of a credible, lovable, and respectable China. So that is why in the long term, we'll see a kind of balance that is being striked out between the wolf warrior diplomacy and the conventional diplomacy when China tries to charter the global this relation international relations war. That is all for this particular video. I hope you understood about this term. Thank you very much.